Hello and welcome to our second episode of podcast Embrace Paradise Raw and Real Talk with Linda. I am absolutely thrilled to have today's podcast with my dear friend and colleague, Isel Arias. She is a legend, a Dominican born and raised. I am super excited to have you at today's podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I know that you were semi-raised in Dominican and then semi outside of Dominican. Can you please give us a little bit of background about yourself? I'm excited to ask you a bunch of questions from somebody that have lived the life in the DR and also abroad from the DR.
Thank you for having me over here. I was born in Santo Domingo and I lived between Santo Domingo and Cabarete. Santo Domingo is the capital of Dominican Republic. So I was between the city and Cabarete throughout my whole childhood. I had back in the day, that was in 1997, there was a lot of Germans here on the North Coast. So I had a lot of German friends. So when I finished high school, I decided to go and move to Germany and study in Germany. And I was supposed to come back after a couple of years, but I stayed over there like for 20 years between Germany and Spain and Italy. I came back in 2014, like 20 years later.
Recent.
Yeah, so 10 years ago. So I've only been living in Dominican Republic as an adult since 10 years, basically.
Fantastic. And I know that you own business here. Would you elaborate a little bit as a business woman in the Dominican Republic? What do you do and how do you find the business in here?
Wow. As a businesswoman with a German ethic way of work, it is extremely difficult. I remember that one time I called a headhunter from Santo Domingo because I was looking for an office manager, basically. And when I told her what I wanted in terms of someone that's on time, that has sense of urgency, that is organized, etc., she told me, "I'm sorry, but that's a cultural problem, so I won't be able to locate the person that you're looking for." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I'll pay anything." And she was like, "No, what you want doesn't exist here." So I think when you come to Dominican Republic and you're going to open a business here, you have to remember in the first place why you came here or why people come here, which is for a more relaxed way of living, no?
Right.
So in business, it can be quite challenging. If you, like, things that are easy in other countries are difficult here, and things that are difficult in other countries are very easy here.
Oh my God, I 100% agree with that because I just opened up my own real estate company. And when I look at the way the business is done here, for example, I looked into opening up a restaurant here, having a bar here. I'm from Canada, as you know. And in Canada and US, anytime that we're going through a process of opening up a bar or restaurant, there's a bunch of permits, and not just those fields, any kind of business that you want to open, you need a bunch of permits, you need to wait months and months after. But in the Dominican, that's not really a thing. As long as you have the funds to start it and the good idea to start it, it's pretty much get your location and find out what you need for the business.
Slowly, we are trying to be more civilized, which is getting a little bit, is bringing up a little bit of difficulty because they're like implementing this kind of bureaucracy to try to get everything organized. But since it's not like 100% there, sometimes they require a bunch of stuff from you, and it's not hard to get it, but they don't even know why they're asking for it. So it's like there are things that make no sense sometimes, no?
Right.
So they are like trying to organize everything. In Santo Domingo, everything's a little bit more organized. But for example, here on the North Coast, since a couple of years, they started asking for a license if you want to put music in the restaurant and things like that, which wasn't there before. Before you just opened and that was it.
Right. I remember actually, now that you say that, a couple of years ago, we had a festival on the beach, and it was just a very small gathering. And a couple hours later, they came and shut us down. And we were like super surprised. Like, what's going on? Like, we were just playing music and all that. They're like, no, you don't have a permit. I didn't know it was a thing. I was like, just a few people on the beach, and but I guess like there was somebody that was selling alcohol as well on the scene.
Yeah.
It made it like a event, and they came and shut us down. But yeah, as to get to your point, there's certain things that we definitely need to know. I'm going to highlight that you also own your own real estate brokerage here. How long have you been in the real estate? Because as our audience know as well, we are in the real estate business, and that's how actually I know you. We were actually earlier trying to figure out how we got to meet in the beginning. I don't think we got to the answer for it, but
I don't remember.
No, I don't either. But I remember the first memory of you in my mind is seeing your name. And when I was living in Azerbaijan, I had a friend named Isel.
Okay.
And your name, when I read it, I read it as Isel, but it's Isel, right? And that's what I remember. She was a very dear friend of mine that I haven't seen for many, many years. So that's the first memory of you that I have. And then we worked a couple deals together in the real estate field. But how long have you owned your real estate business? And I have more questions to follow with that.
Well, the company here I have since 2017. But I've been in real estate for over 15 years because I actually started with real estate in Mallorca, in Spain.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So I've been for over 15 years already in different sides of it. No, when I first arrived to Dominican Republic, I was working as the director of of one of the biggest construction companies in Punta Cana called Noval.
Noval, yes, I
Yeah.
know. Wow. Yeah.
And then I decided to open my own thing.
Fantastic. And by the way, right now we are sitting at one of Isel's exclusive listing at Agua Dulce. I'm a very mountains person. You know, I'm not a fan of living beachfront. I know many people come to Caribbean and they think that, they need to be like in a zero proximity to the beach. I'm not that. I like my mountains. I like to get this fresh air that we're getting right now. But with this, you can't go wrong. Like, I'm actually jealous of you guys right now because my back is to the view and you guys get to enjoy it. This house is $1.5 million. I mean, go and compare it with Costa Rica, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas. It's like all those locations. When you have a property like this, you're talking millions of dollars. This is only 1.5. In my opinion, it is a fantastic property for the price that it has. It has 3 swimming pools, 5 bedrooms, bunch of space for the cars and the toys to be parked. Like the master bedroom has its own walkout to a private pool that it has out there. We're not here for the real estate, but honestly, I couldn't fight myself about not talking about it. We're looking for a friend to buy it so we can come back and enjoy it. So
it's funny what you say about the beachfront thing because we have a joke here actually. We say that the only people who want to live beachfront are the ones that have never lived beachfront.
Right, exactly.
You know, everything gets so salty and,
Yeah, like maintenance is higher on the beachfront properties, but I feel like when you come to the Dominican, and I always tell this to people that who are interested in buying a house here, they think everybody wants to be right on the beach until they live on the beach. And they're like, damn, I didn't know that I have to replace my TV every year. I have to replace my laptop, cell phone, and all that. So the maintenance, because of the salt in the air, is way higher. And for me, living on a beach is like more of a sensory issue. Like, I don't like the background noise too much, which a lot of people love to fall asleep to it. But me, no, I like the view of it like this. I'm not even an ocean person. It's so crazy to say it. I live in the Dominican and I rather pool better than the ocean. But I just love the climate here, right? You can't go wrong. This is the weather that we have 300 plus days a year.
Endless summer.
Yeah, for sure. Like last year we had a little bit more rain than anticipated. I believe that you guys even said that you haven't had that much rain in many years.
Yeah, it was all of this October, November, December was...
No, October
was very
November,
cozy.
December, January, it was like 4 months of non-stop. I've never seen that much rain. But again, for me, because we always work, it wasn't a big deal. But for people that are snowbirds,
you get to really work.
Yeah, for people
and
that
concentrate.
Are snowbirds and they came here for the 4 months. It sucked for them because like they couldn't enjoy the sunny days. But hey,
but it's still hot.
It's still exactly.
Yeah. Right. You know how cozy it is when you are there with a cup of coffee and you see the rainfall and you're sitting in your bikini and you can still go and swim in the rain in the ocean, and the water feels super hot.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels like a hot tub,
Hot tub.
when it's raining.
Yeah.
Then the ocean water feels hotter. You guys have to try that. Go swimming when it's raining. It's
Hey, girl,
amazing.
I am not a friend of rain. I love sunshine, but I'll definitely take you up on that and try it out. But in Canada, we always say that we have 2 seasons. It's winter and construction.
Winter and construction.
Because it starts from like October, it goes all the way. I'm a May baby, so sometimes on my birthday it starts snowing. And when it's not snowing, they just start fixing the roads. It's either construction or it's winter. But here, at least as you mentioned, even though it's raining, it's still hot out there. You can still go and take a break and enjoy it. But while you have been in the real estate for 15 years, some of it started in Spain and then you transitioned to Dominican. I want to know what you have seen throughout these years. What changes you have seen happen in the real estate, and then I'm going to move to Cabarete because you're originally from Cabarete.
Okay.
Right? It is the Casasua Cabarete is the area that we are living in. It's a famous beach town and of the Dominican Republic. So what changes you have seen over the years?
In the market or in the industry
market,
itself?
In the industry, the type of the people that it comes. Just I want to know because I haven't been here that long.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, in the area of Cabarete, I would say the market was steady, but in the lower range until before the pandemic. During the pandemic, of course, like in everywhere in the world in this kind of environment, there was a big boom. And after that, it lowered a little bit from what it was during the pandemic, and now it's very, very steady. I see it only going upwards because the Dominican Republic has become in the last years the biggest growing economy of the Caribbean and one of the biggest in Latin America. And it's a very safe place in terms of that the laws are clear. We don't have any kind of communism or socialism on the way that Dominican people really take care of their freedom.
Here we don't have mafia
No.
here. Yeah, those are very important.
There are some things,
Neighborhood slogans.
There's some things
it's
going
not
on.
like Mexico and Colombia.
No. It's under control. Like, for example, a lot of people that come to Cabarete tell me, oh, this is like the Tulum from Dominican Republic. So I was like, you know what? So many people have told me this. I need to go and see Tulum. So I was in Tulum in January. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I went to check it out, and I was like, you know what? I feel so safe in Cabarete. I mean, when I was in Tulum, I was like, okay, I like it. It's a magical place, but in Cabarete, you do not feel like you're being constantly controlled by the police or in Cabarete, there's nothing going on. You're like, I forgot to lock my office during a weekend. The office, that's bad. And nothing happened,
also at the same time because you went back and nothing had happened.
Everything was there.
Yeah.
Someone told me like, I was just in your office and there was nobody there. And I'm like, when? On Sunday. And I'm like, really? I didn't even check my camera notification. Everything was there. So that's just how safe Cabarete is,
Yeah. And as you mentioned, during COVID, a lot of people kind of packed up and decided to move abroad for various different reasons. So many people started working from home, and that kind of opened up a lot of opportunities for a lot of us that were planning on, this was always a dream that was very hard to achieve. For me, COVID turned into a blessing.
Yeah.
It was blessings from sky because it pushed me out of my comfort zone and get me to look at the possibilities. This was my dream life when I was going to become 40, which is a couple more years to go. And I got to achieve it at 35, so I can't really complain. And I'm actually grateful for COVID. I know it's unfortunate circumstances for a lot of people, but it also opened the door for a lot of opportunities for all of us. And I wanted to mention you guys, actually, Isel and her family own the most beautiful side street in Cabarete. If you guys are from the area, you probably know the street that the Pomodoro is on. Her office is actually right at the corner there, Caribe Connection. And it is one of the most beautiful, colorful, and nostalgic streets that we have in Cabarete. I would say the only beautiful side street that I will always like to take my beach walk and go to the beach.
We wanted to give it that pedestrian street feeling with the little cafes and the terraces, like a little bit like in Europe, no? That you get to enjoy to just sit there and you can sit for hours and have some wine and have some coffee.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And my grandfather, he was a visionary. He really wanted everyone to have access to the beach. So he created this passage so that everyone could always access the beach, no?
Yeah, and it's wonderful because one of our friends, Artem Cafe and Tattoo Shop.
Oh,
is
yeah.
there as well.
Oh, she did this for me too.
Oh, she did
yeah.
that tattoo, yeah. But I go there pretty much every weekend to have
Nice.
bagel because their bagel culture is not really on the island. So anytime that I want to eat bagel, I get up and, excited, go in there and sit there and eat it. And it's like super nice vibe.
And did you notice their coffee is different? They have the best coffee ever. Is the coffee Monte Alto it's like organic coffee that they bring from the mountains from Jarabacoa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like their coffee, and they're one of the only places that you can get a bigger cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Us Canadians and Americans, we like
Real estate people, big cup of coffee.
it's not that culture here. You guys don't have it. I go
Yeah.
to places and I'm like, café con leche, por favor, coffee with milk, and then they bring me a coffee with a cup, and there's this much coffee in it.
No.
I like in the beginning, I was like super so disoriented because I come from Canada. I order a medium double from Tim Hortons. Kudos to my Canadians, you know that. So and then I came here and they bring me, so I will fill it up.
Cafecito.
Yeah, you guys don't have it, and I see why, because people get a lot of vitamin D. They get their energy from just the ocean, grounding.
From rum.
Presidente, You don't need that necessarily, that coffee rush. I find in US and Canada, they kind of drilled it to our system. I moved to Canada back in 2010, and I never used to drink coffee before I moved there. And then I went there, and I was like, I got introduced to Tim Hortons. I was like, what is this? And then I became addicted to it.
Have you been introduced to motoconchos here? Because we have one thing here that you don't have in Canada.
Motoconchos?
Where you call up a guy and you say, I want this and this and this. Even if you want a single cigarette, it doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is, you call and they bring it over to your house for like $4. They'll bring to your house whatever you want.
Yeah, the delivery guy,
Yeah,
right, on the motorcycle.
delivery guy for anything.
For anything, yes. That honestly, in this country, everything is in your fingertip. The
Yeah.
service is fantastic. You can get anything and everything.
Yes and no. Like the service is not always fantastic. Like I don't know if you have made the experience, but we have the two extremes. We have super friendly people, and then we have this Dominican girls that have this attitude of, yeah, what do you want? Whatever. Here.
Yeah.
And they just want to get it over with, whatever it is that they have to give you. So it's really funny. We have the two extremes, the super friendly service people and the super unfriendly service people.
You know what? Since it's raw and real talk, I am not about sugarcoating. And this is the whole point of us putting this podcast together, because I find there's a lot of podcasts nowadays out there, and they're just like showing the blings and beauties and this. When people come here, I don't want them to be like, oh, this is not what we were told. So I'm gonna bring my honesty on that side of the service, because I go to Santiago, I go to Santo Domingo, which are the bigger cities.
Yeah.
I find in Sosúa, Cabarete area, the service especially in the restaurant industry, really, really low.
Yeah.
It's the servicing. You sit down, you really have to wait to make eye contact, and then sometimes you make eye contact and it's just
Santo Domingo is like top in that. I love Santo Domingo. You have this super nice restaurants where anywhere else in the world it will cost you hundreds of dollars to go there, and it's really affordable and super good service and super good food. And on the North Coast, I have to say we have really good restaurants too, and those few good restaurants have really good service. But in general, yeah, that can happen, that you're like, and nobody shows up and you're like, what I do is I look them up in the internet And I look up their phone number.
And
I call and I'm like, I'm in the table that's here in the corner on the right side of the terrace. Could you please come over? You know?
Yeah. Again, not to talk it down, but because it caught my attention, and I'm sure it catches a lot of foreigners that come here. I'm not saying in Canada everywhere is perfect. Obviously, we have places that are obviously like suck in in service. But when I went to Santo Domingo, number one, in Santiago, we were refused to go inside one of the restaurants because one of the gentlemen
Shorts.
had a short on.
That's a thing there. That's like, we're in a tropical country. What do you mean I cannot come in with my shorts? You know?
About it, because number one, the first time we went to Santiago, my cousin is sitting in the background here, and he can vouch for it. We were all, we don't know any better at that time. And we go to Santiago, all of us with our shorts, with tank top, like literally you just think that we just came from the beach. And we're walking around, and it was one of the malls, and we were like, I don't know who mentioned it. We were like, dude, nobody's wearing shorts. Nobody was wearing shorts. Everybody was at proper like work dress pants or jeans, for sure they knew we were from San Cabarete and Sosua area, because we were the only people who looked like that just came from the beach. And then you go to the restaurants, and oh my God, Santo Domingo's restaurants.
I love it.
Some dine-in restaurants that you go to, it's just crazy. We were at Blue Mall one time with one of my friends, and we were sitting there, just a random one of those, in the center they have like...
Shibuya is fantastic, and I love the sushi at Shibuya. It's really, really nice. It's there in the center of Blue Mall.
Yeah, we were sitting there, we were just ordering food, super attentive. They come, they take our food, order, and all that. It was super packed. I believe it was the weekend. And my friend is sitting there. It was his first time in Santo Domingo. And he's looking at the only place he's been really, Sosua Cabarete.
Yeah.
And I drove him there.
And then you go there, and there's Cartier and Louis Vuitton and everything everywhere, and
we were sitting there.
It's like two different countries.
Yeah, and he's looking, right. He's keep looking at people coming left, right, and center. It's like tables are full around us. He's like, dude, I feel like everybody is coming out of gala. It's like day and night. The difference, the type that people are dressed up, super high class, super fancy, like they're going to wedding. I don't even think in Canada people dress like that.
The thing is that people do not walk a lot by feet. Like they just drive around, or they have drivers that drive them around, and they're constantly in AC. So people get to dress well and in heels because they don't walk in the heat. It's like walking is like, there's this weird culture here that walking is for like,
it's not classy.
Yeah. So, and it's terrible. Like I wish Santo Domingo was more of a walking city, because it's one of the things that I've missed the most from moving back from Europe to here is walking, And I've made my tests in Santo Domingo to try to walk around. It's definitely not a walking city.
It works perfect for me because I don't like walking.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you love it then.
People that know me, they know me. And the one thing about Santo Domingo, it's a capital city, right? So it gets really, really packed. And I stay in Piantini area anytime.
I only go on Sundays.
On Sundays.
I only go to Santo Domingo Saturday afternoon or Sundays.
But does it even matter? I feel like the street is always packed.
No, Sundays is really nice. It's like there's no cars. Everyone's out of the city. It's great. Yeah.
Cool.
Everyone's off to Las Terrenas. Because you don't go to Las Terrenas on Sunday.
On Sundays. I hacked the system in Santo Domingo. Anytime that I'm going around, and first of all, I don't drive in Santo Domingo. I go and park my car. Uber everywhere. $3 for Uber.
I have a Tundra, and everyone gets out of the way.
Your truck?
Yeah.
No, it's just sitting in the traffic, man. And the motorcycles just try to zip around you. And I drive a BMW. I am like, you know what? I
You're like this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, But I hacked the system. If, for example, last time I was going to IKEA.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at down the street because we were staying at a high rise. I'm looking down that traffic looks terrible. Uber motorcycle.
Oh my God, you took the Uber moto?
Of course. Of course.
You don't love your life, do you?
Yeah, they can't go fast. The worst case, they're gonna just hit my leg to the
They
floor.
make you appreciate your life, right?
Yeah. But these guys, they're like, dude, I was sitting on this motorcycle.
And it's like 30 cents.
Yeah, like super cheap. And I'm like literally hugging this guy with my legs and I'm like holding him.
Oh, you
on
must
my
be very
first
happy.
I don't know, but like after I got out, I was like, yo, that was hectic. That was hectic. He's like waving through, but I would have sat in the traffic for at least an hour to go like 3 kilometers.
No, Ubermoto is definitely the trick.
There's no other way around it. So he got me there in like literally 6 minutes. 6 minutes. I was out of it. I'm like, whoo. And
I'm alive.
That was the beginning of a new world for me. Now I'm like, if it's traffic, I'm taking a motorcycle.
Do you know that there's no Ubermoto in Canada or in the
No,
States?
of course, I'm from
That's like
there.
a Dominican thing, the Ubermoto. That's so funny.
I love it. It's super cheap, and forget the cheap part of it only. It's super convenient in the traffic because who
30
wants to
cents.
sit in the traffic?
At the most, 30 cents. Yeah.
And then you go to the Zona Colonial and you will come back at night with the car. There is this small Kia Picanto that shows up that has a propane tank behind it. Brings you home for $3.
Yeah.
Like 6 kilometer, 10 kilometer for $3-4. You can't complain. You can't get that. You will pay at least like 10x of that in Canada too. So I'm definitely grateful for the things that this island has to bring different perspective and comfort to our lives, even though they're dangerous, right? So I know that you're like myself. You're a car lover. You love your toys. You love your motorcycles.
Yeah.
Right? So I have some questions on that for you because I know in Canada, a lot of people give up driving motorcycles and stuff like that because of the cost of ownership and the insurance cost and all that. So I know for regular scooters, you literally pay $10 a year for the insurance to have it on the road.
Less.
That's crazy.
It's like you can literally go to like a pharmacy and you get for like between 300 and 500 pesos, which is like $7 or $8. You get an insurance, which you get right then and there, right away. They don't even have to see your scooter, just the papers or the paperwork. And then you get this third-party insurance, no? Then you have also for like about $20 a year or less, you have an ambulance insurance. So it's like a helicopter ambulance.
Okay.
So that if you're in an accident in the middle of nowhere, when we're riding bikes out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, if you have an accident, then the helicopter picks you up.
Interesting.
Yeah, so those are
I
like...
know you have way over and beyond scooters. You have nice BMW, you have a Ducati, you have nicer, bigger motorcycles that many of young generations in Canada wish to be able to drive it. With
just
higher
third-party liability insurance.
So what is that roughly for you per year? Approximately.
Like $10.
Again, $10?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Literally.
You know, in Canada, people pay like, I mean, $5,000.
You can pay. This is the land where anything can cost anything. Like for example, a car, the Mini Cooper. I can pay third-party insurance for like $100 a year, or I can pay a full-on insurance for like $2,000 a year. So here you have all the range from everything. Like with everything in Dominican Republic, you always have from the cheapest to the most sophisticated version of whatever it is that you're looking for.
I agree, but also I want to highlight something here because again, for me, coming from abroad and being so traumatized with the driving in Canada, and God forbid if you get a ticket or if you get into
a ticket here, you don't have to really worry about that here.
You just go pay it and then you're done with it.
That's it. There's no points. There's no nothing. Like a speeding ticket here can be like $20 or something like that.
Yeah, but the moral of this matter is you don't get penalized for it for the next 7 years of your life. Because in Canada, when you get a ticket, that stays in your driving history for minimum 2.5.
And you have points there on on your driver's license. Like, for example, one of the reasons why when I came from Europe was that I got fed up from the speeding tickets. I have to. It's a thing that I cannot avoid. So I had only like 3 points left in my driver's license. So I came here to the land of freedom, where I only pay like $20 for each ticket. And I do not recommend breaking any traffic laws or anything like that. But if it happens, it's just like $20.
Yeah.
I am not giving anyone any bad advice about driving.
Yeah, 100%. But I find the insurances are definitely a scam. You know, I look at it as a scam because people, I have it in my family members that they were new in the country. And obviously when you're new and you're just starting to drive, sometimes it takes time to get used to it. But now they can't get a driver's license. Insurance, because they have 3 tickets. And the insurance is like, no, in Canada.
Ah, okay.
And the insurance is like $1,000 a month. And this person is just very new. They don't even have a job to be able to support that kind of monthly insurance.
No.
How much does this person need to make to be able to afford, on top of everything else, $1,000 just the car insurance?
Well, you know, those are all rules that in the end are not about the insurance, but about people's freedom. You know, then that's where Dominican Republic is really good at. Like, we're a very free country here. We're a really free country here.
Yeah, and it's up to you. If you want to spend, as you said, $2,000 for insurance to get a full package or whatever, you can. But you can also have your car on the road. I remember when I was getting insurance for my BMW X5, which is like a nicer car in their category.
It's like $1,000 a year or something like that.
For full coverage, yes. But I also had a chance to get it for $8,000.
Yeah.
8,000 pesos, a year, which is like $150, $160, maybe even less, to just have my car on the road as a liability. Which like I respect stuff like this in the Dominican, and I know everywhere has its own goods and bads, but at least here, people can still live their life without breaking the bank.
Yeah, well, the expensive thing is like buying the car. Like a car that would be maybe $5,000 somewhere else, it will cost you $15,000 here. Like anything that you have to bring into the island tends to be more expensive. But then you have other things where you find a way around, like insurance, repairs, and stuff like that. And then exactly, so you have to balance. Like it's not that it's more expensive or that it's cheaper than anywhere else. It's just that you have to find the balance between what's more here and what's less here. Like the supermarket, for instance. Like if you eat local products, you'll eat super cheap. But if you want to hang on to your cheeses and wines and imported meat and I don't know what, then you're in for a ride at the supermarket, you know?
Absolutely, yeah, because it costs more. Obviously, they're importing stuff and that has importing cost, taxes and everything on it. When you go to, for example, mechanic, super cheap. The labor is extremely cheap.
It can be tricky, the mechanic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It can be tricky. They can tell you stories, man. It's like, it's important to know the right people.
Of course. I'm from a car industry, right?
So you know.
I know my cars. I know the problem when I'm taking them my car in. So they can't take me for a spin on the stories of what is wrong with my car. I take them and I say, hey, this is what's wrong. This is what needs to be done. How much are you going to cost? Because, sometimes I feel like when you're a woman also.
Oh, yeah, of course. I love it because you arrive there and then they start telling you this fantastic story. And you're like, man, I know it's my spark plugs. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you know what you're talking about, like we were replacing 2 shocks on a car. If you take that to Canada, it's like $120 minimum per hour for the mechanic as a labor. And by the time they take the shocks off, you're $120, and by the time they diagnose it and change it, do this, do that, you're like $500 deep. Here is like $120 for us to replace the whole thing. So as you said, it's the balance and offsetting, but sometimes the parts can be expensive, right? Because if you want good parts that
But you can also find guys that fix the parts.
Right.
Or you go to a place, like for example, I was a race car driver, so I saw myself looking for parts in places that you cannot imagine, in areas of Santo Domingo where my parents would have normally never let me walk around on my own. But, as an adult, I ended up there looking for parts for my cars in places called like Herrera or Villajuana. And these are places where you go into these halls and it's full of, it looks like trash, but it's full
Of parts.
of parts. It's like when how do you call that in English? The place where you,
Scrapyard.
yes,
Junkyard,
it's like it's
scrapyard.
like a junkyard. And then you go there and you go with your little piece and you tell this guy, hey, I need this and this and this and this Japanese version, whatever it is that you're looking for. And the guy goes to the back, leaves you waiting for half an hour, and then he comes out with the part
With the part.
out of nowhere. So, and he tells you, oh yeah, it's like, I don't know, $100 or whatever the part is.
Yeah.
So you can make it really cheap, or
You can go the more expensive way and get imported parts.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I definitely love about Dominican as well. Again, another thing is people are not used to being consumers all the time. If something breaks down, they rather to fix it versus throwing it out and going buying a new one like
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
Like in Canada, there is no way that my microwave will break down and I will go to fix it. There's just no way. I'll be like, oh, it's $120 because it's going to cost you more to fix it
Yeah.
than just going and buying a new one. So what's the point of doing that?
Yeah.
But here, when I bought my first house, my fridge broke down the day that I was taking possession over, and they sent this handyman, and I'm like, dude, this fridge, the handle is broken. Like it's rusting inside it a little bit. But I was
And the
like,
fridge is still there.
the fridge is, I swear, no word of a lie, I own that house for almost 4 years now, and I just replaced the fridge in January.
Nice.
We had an Airbnb client, and they
Yeah.
were like, fridge is leaking. I'm like, you know what? Kudos to your fridge.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, like, and we fixed it multiple times. And because I got used to it here, why would I go spend $600, $700, $800 on the fridge when I can bring a handyman and fix it for $20? It's
Yeah.
Airbnb. You
Yeah.
know, the people come, they use it, and it works. I fixed the handle, changed it, blah, 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 and it operates properly. But then when it started leaking, I'm like, you know what? You did your service.
I'm done.
We didn't throw it out. It's now in the backyard servicing, like, the people's cold beers and all that, so they don't have to feel like they have to walk inside to get there. But we fixed the leak too. So Dominicans are amazing at
Finding solutions.
100%. 100%. I remember another story. One of my friends needed something for his motorcycle, and I was new at that time in the Dominican, and we went to this like little hole in the wall mechanic type of a place. I see this 9-year-old kid fixing the motorcycle, and the guys were like literally hanging over his head trying to see what he's doing because he was fixing their motorcycle. And my friend goes to him. My Spanish is not the greatest, so I don't know what he says, and he gets out of that motorcycle and comes and fixes my friend's motorcycle. This 9-year-old kid.
That's like nice and sad at the same time, no? It's because many kids work here, like they grow up in this environment and they know how to do stuff,
If I had a kid, I'd rather my kid to be working and being handy and knowing how to handle
To be useful, yeah, but some kids are forced to work.
being on the iPad all the time.
Oh no, that's for sure, yeah.
Which many of the kids back home do. And you can't blame the families because everybody is working all the freaking time. Kids grow up in kindergartens with the nannies or whatever. And like that's all they do when they come home. Parents are tired.
Yeah.
They give the iPad so they have time to cook and do this and that.
That's why I have dogs. I have dogs.
I'm with you right there with that. But here, I know a lot of parents that moved here, they wanted to homeschool their kids. They wanted to give a lifestyle that you can send your kids out.
Absolutely. This is a place where it's very easy to have kids. You just let them free on the beach. It's not like you have to. It's a very healthy environment. It's not like they're gonna catch any weird information from something. The kids are doing sports. They're surfing. I remember one time I was surfing, and it was in the morning, and it was weekday, and there was this bunch of kids there, and I was like, they were jumping on my waves all the time. So I told them, don't you guys have to go to school or something? And they were like, no, we're homeschooled so that we can surf. And I was like, wow, okay.
Why not? Why
You
not?
know, what a great life.
Who woke up and said that we have to go to school and learn what they want us to
They
learn?
go to surf first, and then they go to school.
Yeah, that's honestly, we're so indoctrinated with these school system and all that. And I was the type of the kid that I went to school from 7 years till the university and all that shenanigans. And then the COVID hit, and I kind of hit my head to rock. I felt like I slapped back to the reality and woke up to life, you know. And I salute those people who took the stand for their kids. I don't have a kid, but I definitely stand with the families that took their kids and they said, you know what, I don't want my kid to be indoctrinated more than they already have. I'm going to homeschool them, because, you know, a lot of crap happening in Canada and US. We're going too way off topic, but I think it's very important to speak about this, even though we don't have kids. Here, you don't have certain agendas. Like in Canada, US, now kids can go to school and say, I am a cat today. I identify as a cat today, you know, and meow you, and they have to bring you food and put it in the corner, water in the corner, so that kid can be a cat. To me, that's so whack.
It's pretty crazy right now.
How is the government even supports this? You know, I respect that. I respect, okay, somebody is, you know,
I think it's an experiment.
It is something.
It's some sort of experiment, because it's not normal. I mean, life is easier than that. It's not, we don't have to make it so complicated, you know?
Yeah, but to me, that's just so mind-blowing. And like, then these kids come home and they act like this in front of their parents, and the parents can't even say anything to them, because the kid is like, I'll call 911. I say my family is abusing me. You know, like the schools are supporting things that are just way too much, you know. Another thing, the kids can go into their sexual transition without the permission of their parents, starting 5, 6, 7 years old.
That's insane. I mean, a kid doesn't have I don't think a kid...
Mental development.
Yeah, to make that kind of decision. And you know, like... I'm all for freedom, and I'm a very open-minded person, and I find that Dominicans are too conservative when it comes to that. But that what's happening in Canada and the US is the other extreme. But
it sure is, because listen, I am also from part of the community. I came to this country to make sure that I can live my life free. Okay, I lived my country for my freedom, so I can get to live the life that I want, you know. And then I went to Canada, which was a wonderful country. I had my life in Canada, and I've been very grateful for it. But once they started shifting and started bringing certain things to the table to brainwash kids and let them do the things that are not acceptable at the age that they're doing, become 19, do whatever the hell you want. You know, nobody's telling you, but at that point, you have the time to develop yourself and understand that, okay, I've had relationships, I know what I want and all that, instead of letting them at such a young age to be exposed to what most likely they're going to regret in the future. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this topic up, but it's something that definitely bothers me. And in Dominican Republic, this kind of stuff doesn't exist. Going back to fun stuff with you, I want to know, as a Dominican, number one, do you like beach or river better? Because
well, it depends. Beach or river, everything has its moment.
Yeah,
everything has its moment. Ideally, you want to go to the beach in the morning, and then at some point at around 2, you want to go to the river.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then you have lunch in the river, you know.
Yeah,
and I mean lunch in the river,
inside the river.
Inside the river. Yeah.
Okay.
They bring you a chair and you sit under the water with your chair in the river with the water flowing through.
You know what? You have to take me one time, hands down.
We can make a podcast there.
Why not? Yes, I love.
And then you have a cooler in in the river?
I've seen Dominicans carry their coolers with them. Absolutely. I just have never had a personal experience going, but I know most of the Dominicans love going to the river over going to the ocean.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know why that is.
I don't know, but they just
I don't know why that is.
I think because they can just sit there, chill, drink their rum and coke, or just sit in the water, socialize.
If you have a buggy, like you get together with other people that have buggies, and then you go to the river, and then they bring a lot of stuff out of the buggy, and they even cook there in the river. Like they make you your own sancocho.
Yeah.
You know?
Sancocho, by the way, is a traditional Dominican deliciousness. It's meat, potatoes.
It's like a big
Yuca.
soup, like a big stew that becomes a soup or something like that.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's like a soup.
You know what? I have an honest question for you.
Raw.
I've always wondered the answer for this. Why
I'll try.
does Dominican men go to the ocean with their shirt and socks on?
Well, I've never dated Dominican men, I have
Okay.
to say,
You don't
and
have to answer
that is part of the reason why. I have no clue why they do that.
I
have no clue why they do that. But I mean, that's a certain type of Dominican man that does that. I don't think Santo Domingo man will do that.
I don't know. I see them everywhere, dude. I go to Punta Cana. I see.
Yeah?
Not everybody, but there's certain people. I just because I understand if they wear long sleeves, they don't want to burn or get tan or whatever. I understand, but it's just like their sweatshirt and socks. And again, I might understand the socks if they don't want.
It's a mystery to me too.
Like
Dominican man, could you please write here in the comments?
in the comment below.
What's with the socks and the sweatshirts when you're in the water?
I was hoping that I could get the answer from you. Damn it! Yeah.
I do not have a lot of experience with Dominican men. No.
Okay, yeah, I will find somebody else. I don't speak perfect Spanish, so I might get somebody to help me ask that question. But yeah, it's always a mystery to me. Yeah, we will find the answer. And if you're a Dominican man and understand this podcast, please bless us with the answer. Be kind, be kind. I'm just genuinely interested to know what the reason is for it. But yeah, so, and what are your top favorite, give me 3 names of the favorite beaches that you have in the Dominican. I have my own 3, but I don't know yours. Yeah.
I love Playa Alicia,
Okay. Which is in Sosua.
which is in Sosúa. I love a place called La Entrada,
Okay.
which is in Cabrera.
Okay, yeah. I've been in Cabrera, but not there.
La Entrada is fantastic, and there's nobody there, like nadie,
Magical.
nobody. I have to say I love Punta Popi in Las Serrenas. So yeah, I think that I cannot say 3.
No.
I cannot say 3 because this country has so many different beaches. I mean, so many different kind of panoramas. Like, whereas it's beaches where you can jump from a rock, or white sand beaches, or beaches for surfing, or beaches for it's I cannot pick 3.
Yeah, I would say the 2 mesmerizing beaches that I have been to, just the crystal clear water, is number 1 for me was Punta Rusia.
Ah, yeah, that's beautiful.
Punta Rusia.
That is nice.
I would definitely say just the proximity to the airport and all that, it's definitely one of the, it's already developed, but definitely one of the gems of the Dominican Republic, in my opinion. And then Playa Bonita in Las Terrenas.
Playa Bonita, yeah, Playa Bonita is very nice.
I remember.
Punta Rusia is quite crowded. Playa Bonita too. There's a whole bunch of beaches that are not known.
Girl, I'm still a gringa here, okay? I'm still exploring my ways around. That's why I need to make Dominican
you
friends.
need to get a buggy. You need to get a buggy.
You can keep saying that.
Yes,
to me.
you have to get a buggy. The best places of this country are inside. They're not on the coast. They're inside. You have to. The inside of the country is surprisingly beautiful. Like you have waterfalls, rivers, lakes. Like it's there's a whole bunch of stuff that you guys know nothing about yet.
Yet, yeah. I like, honestly, with what I have seen, I've already been mind blown how much of a hidden gems are in this island.
You need Dominican friends
I
that
know.
take you to places.
100%, I agree with that, and I think that I always see your stories that you're exploring with your motorcycle, you have a cross bike.
Yeah.
You can get around, and you've been keep telling me I need to get an ATV, which the
buggy. Yeah.
buggy. Definitely not ATV. I definitely need a 4-passenger buggy, Polaris. I already know exactly what I want. So I'll definitely get on that. And what is your Dominican favorite dish?
Oh, pollo guisado, like the chicken stew.
Chicken stew.
Yeah.
You guys love chicken.
I love chicken.
Yeah. I think everybody.
I like crab as well, though.
Yeah, seafood.
Yeah, and the fish. Okay, there's too many. I like everything. I'm not a person that has a favorite thing, but it's a favorite thing for a favorite time.
Right.
You know?
Feel like them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite drink?
I do not drink alcohol.
Wow.
I stopped drinking alcohol.
Dominican.
Yeah, I drank enough alcohol. I drank enough for my whole life. So I don't drink alcohol anymore. But I love coconut water. If I was drinking alcohol, I love a good piña colada, of course.
Of course, yeah.
With lots of brugal in it.
Yeah, for sure. Coconut water is a big part of the culture, I would say, in the Dominican. Yeah. You can get it for less than $1 on the street. You will see trucks pulled up. You just go there and you're like, agua de coco, por favor, and then they cut it off for you right there.
And it's really good for you.
Oh my
really
God.
Good for you.
I love eating the meat inside it.
Yeah.
They give it to you, you start drinking it, and then you're like, para comer, por favor, in my little Spanish, you know? And then they open it up, they scoop it, they put it in the cup, and they give it to you for $1, less than $1.
And that's expensive. It used to be less than $1. It used to be like 30 pesos.
Girl, for us, that is like dirt cheap, because you go to all-inclusive hotels, they sell it to you for $5 to $10.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we know.
Yeah.
Most people that come, because 95% of the tourists that comes to Dominican Republic, they go to all-inclusive, and then they're like, oh, coconut, you know? They're $10. Sure, you know, you don't know any better. You're just used to saying yes. And then here you come, they go, I see them all the time.
Yeah.
In Playa Encuentro.
Mm-hmm.
They climb. The two guys, they're one standing at the bottom.
And it's difficult. I mean, I don't know how they do it so fast.
No rope, no safety, no nada.
Machete in hand.
Machete goes after. I've watched the process. The guy goes up with the rope, and then he ties the rope up, and then he pulls it, and then the machete comes. That part, they follow the safety.
She's got the whole process.
Yeah, and then he goes there, chop, 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 and then he puts the rope around the coconut, and he sends it down, and then back to the process again. They get to harvest all these coconuts for free, and then sell it for only $1, and actually less than $1, let's say 85 cents, which is a blessing.
Isn't it beautiful, the road between Nagua and Las Terrenas, with all these coconut trees, like all these palm trees road? That's incredible.
I wish sometimes that I was a bird, that I could fly. Even like driving with a car, it's just mesmerizing. You drive along the coast, and all you see is coconut trees and ocean.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
it's incredible.
beautiful.
That road is amazing.
Yeah, we often stop there, get a coconut if there's somebody on the side of the road, or just do photos and videos, or just like ground and take a moment for ourselves. It's absolutely beautiful. Is there anything else that you would like to bring to our audience as a Dominican person that live here and see us expats come here, move to the country? Please elaborate.
I need to touch a topic that I see in all of these Facebook groups. I need to touch the topic of the gringo prices. I'm like, dude, there are no gringo prices. There are premium spots, and there are normal spots, and there are super local, low-key spots. So you cannot, for instance, if you go to Manhattan, you have gringo prices, no? But you want to be in Manhattan, so it is what it costs. Exactly. So if you come to the coast and you want to live beachfront in a nice apartment, I am Dominican. If I go there, that's what I have to pay as well. It has nothing to do. It's not that they ask you for your passport to see your nationality and then they set the price. It's not like that. It's that you are wanting to be in places or buying things that's what it costs here. It costs the same for us Dominican. If you go to Santo Domingo, very often you get a service, you get the price quoted in dollars. It's not because you're gringo. It's because this is a country that is, because the dollar fluctuates up and down all the time, and businesses have to set a certain standard to survive, those are the prices. It has nothing to do with you being a gringo or not being a gringo. Please get it in your head. It has nothing to do with that. It is literally, if you want to be in a certain type of spot, or if you want to be in a more low-key type of spot. It's not local or gringo. It's low-key or premium. Two very different things. So we need to understand that here.
Right.
If I go to Santo Domingo and I'm going to buy a car, the quote that they send me is in dollars. It's not in pesos. If I go to a cheap dealer, then of course they'll send me the quote in pesos. But if I want a good car, if I go to Audi, if I go to BMW, if I go anywhere, the prices are in dollars. They're not in pesos. Even in the WhatsApp group chat of my friends and the people who ride motorcycles, when someone's selling a motorcycle, the price is in dollars, and we're all Dominicans. So please, there is no local or local or gringo price. There is no local or gringo price. There is a low key and a premium price. So you have to decide where you want to be, and in the in between price as well. So I wanted to clear that up, because every time I see the word gringo prices, I'm like, oh my God, here they go again.
Yeah, they should just do their own due diligence, right? If they find something expensive, maybe that's not necessarily expensive, but it's for that person, it's expensive. So you have the option of either buy it or not buy it.
Exactly.
You know, do your due diligence, check a couple other places and see if it is. I find that there is a mentality about Dominican Republic that people come here for retirement and they're coming on a set budget. And they think that they can come here and get everything almost for free.
Well, you can get a lot of stuff very cheap, but then don't complain of how you get it and what you're getting. Because here you can live with $200 a month, or you can live with $20,000 a month. Literally. Mm-hmm. We have the whole scope of different types of lifestyles you can have in this country. From the cheapest ever, living in the middle of nowhere, to the celebrity status lifestyle that you can have here. So you choose your range, you know.
I agree with that. When I was moving here, there are certain channels that I guess they just overpromise stuff. They're like, oh, it's super cheap. You can live on $1,000, $1,500. When I came here, thankfully, I'm well off. I didn't come on a retirement budget. You know, I'm someone that is making $1,000, $1,500. Wife and husband get up, come here. And it's just, in the Sosua Cabarete especially, I would say that's very difficult, especially if you want to keep your Canadian standards.
Yeah.
Live in a nice 2-bedroom apartment and go out a couple times a week. I mean, in Canada, nobody can really afford that nowadays with how expensive everything is. But like for our older crowd who's coming here to retire, please make sure that you guys do dive deep on the pricing. It's especially in Sosua Cabarete, it's not cheap here.
Well, Sosua Cabarete, like Sosua is maybe cheaper, but Cabarete is not a cheap place. Like a lot of people think, for example, that Cabarete is way cheaper than Punta Cana. Punta Cana is when it comes to supermarket, Punta Cana might be more expensive, but when it comes to housing, Punta Cana is much cheaper than Cabarete. You know, the kind of real estate that you get in Cabarete will always be more expensive than the real estate you get in Punta Cana. And why? Because everything is close to the beach in Cabarete. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Punta Cana, you have all these places that are on the highway and whatever, and
you don't have access to the beaches.
So it's different.
Inclusive hotels.
Exactly. So unless you go to Cap Cana or something like that, it's two different worlds. So it's always it always depends where you want to be and how you want to be. For example, if you take and instead of being in Cabarete, you move to Gaspar Hernandez, or you move to Sabaneta, or up in the hills of Hamao, yeah, you can live super cheap. Then you have to drive 10 minutes to get to the beach.
Or want to live in those areas.
So that's
right?
the thing.
Yeah.
There's no gringo prices or not gringo prices. It's about where do you want to be and how.
Exactly.
You have all kinds of different you can get a house for $20,000 in Dominican Republic still. but what kind of house and where, you know? So there are no gringo prices and there are no local prices. There's low key and premium and more premium.
Love it.
So
Yeah, for sure. And I want to elaborate on that and highlight it, that please do your due diligence. If you want to live in a town in close proximity to the beach, if you don't want to be up on the mountains, I mean, this is also a mountain, but as you can see, it's only less than 10-minute drive to the beach. But if you don't want to be in a rural area, away from your friends, just do a little bit of a cost study to make sure that, especially if you're a retiree, that this lifestyle, if you don't have too much savings, that is going to be fitting for you. Because if you come here and thinking that $1,000 and all the blings that you see online is going to be enough for you, I'm going to sadly say that that's not the fact. This country, just like every other place, is going up with the inflation. We do have apartments still for $500 a month that you can get a studio. And again, we have apartments that you can get for $8,000 a month. You know, it's just for your budget, and keep your expectations according to that. You know, if you're minimalistic, this country has a lot of great things to offer for you. But if you like your bling life and all that, just make sure that you do a little bit of research. Get in touch with us. We live in this environment all the time. We will be happy to share our experiences with you. But definitely the cost of living for my lifestyle was definitely way higher than what I was communicated before I came here. So I just would never want to see more families come here and move back.
on the other hand, for example, if you own property in the States or in Canada, no matter how cheap your property there is, if you have a property in Toronto, then of course you can get, let's say you're looking for a 2-bedroom house, you can get a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom house for $300,000 close to the beach, $300,000 close to the beach. Then that's where you're saving your money, you know, like something that would cost you $1 million there can cost you 300,000 here.
Absolutely.
So that's where you need to balance. And then, for example, maybe cars are more expensive, but the buying the house is cheaper. Then the lifestyle, you have to find out what's local produce and consume local stuff instead of
Absolutely. I guess that the only difference is in Canada, we have such a wide access to financing. You know, you never own your anything. You're always tied to the bank. And when people buy houses, they get financing. I always say people, because, you know, the selling process here is a little bit longer than what it is in US and Canada. I said, because it's cash purchase here. You have to buy everything cash. If we had bank financing so widely available for foreigners, trust me, we wouldn't have any inventory in the market. But because people have to come up with the cash for majority of their purchase, sometimes that can make things a little bit more challenging for the ones that don't have that much of a savings. But again, as you said, buying a lifestyle here is way cheaper than what you would be able to do it in Canada. You just have to do it. But yeah, it has been very informative. I didn't even think our podcast is going to go this long, but I think me and you, we can just talk for hours and have great conversations. Really appreciate your time. I do believe that our audience as well. It was very informative. Thank you for your time, and I can't wait to have you again.
Thank you for having me over. A pleasure.
Awesome. I hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed our conversation, and subscribe to our channel so you can stay tuned. And if you know anybody else that would enjoy and benefit from our topics, please share our page with them, and we're excited to bring more in the near future to you guys. Have a wonderful day, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this beautiful view.
Bye.
See you.